Oh, no, please, they're not all as sad as last week, are they? No, they're not. Hello lovely people of YouTube and welcome back to Mark on Life and GhibliTime. Thank you to everybody that watched last week's episode, which was on Grave of the Fireflies. If you didn't see that episode, I will leave a link in the description below and at the end of this video too. So this week we are looking at one of my absolute favourites in the entire series of Studio Ghibli movies, and that is Kiki's Delivery Service. So Kiki's Delivery Service came out on July 29th, 1989. Directed by Miyazaki and music by Joe Hisaishi again, a great team. Although Miyazaki wrote and directed it, he was not intended to. Another director had been brought in, but over problems with production and that kind of stuff, it was eventually decided that he would step in and direct it. Again, like other Studio Ghibli movies, this one is based on source material, a novel of the exact same name by Eiko Kodono in 1985, so not long before that one. Japanese title for this one is Majo no Takyubin. Slightly different on this one. It actually means witch's delivery service. And for being very specific, the word Takyubin is actually a very special type of sort of courier home delivery service that the word was created by one specific company. So, slightly different one, witch's delivery service rather than Kiki. I'm not sure why, for the English title, they decided to use Kiki's name rather than Japanese who didn't. I don't know why that is, but it's definitely different, but hey, that's the way it is. Great cast for the English dub on this one. We've got Kirsten Dunst playing Kiki, the lead, and Phil Hartman playing Gigi, who does loads of voices on The Simpsons and other things. And then we also have Janine Garofalo and Debbie Reynolds. So really, really good cast for this one. And the dub is brilliant. Like I said, all the Ghibli dubs are good. This one's particularly good. Japanese audio is obviously fantastic and always the one I would go to after, but the English dub is very, very good. So what about the themes of this one? Well, it's funny because, as I said in previous videos, a common theme is young girls and their sort of adventure in life. But that's kind of what happened after this. Because although there were kind of adolescent girls in Nausicaa and Laputa, Miyazaki himself found it quite difficult to write them because he doesn't have any daughters. He has 2 sons and was one of 4 brothers. So he had no experience on writing female characters really at all. So he went to Toshio Suzuki, one of the producers, and asked him to tell stories about his daughter, who he knew was quite a difficult teenage girl at the time, quite stroppy. And so he told him loads of stories. And then putting that together with the source material came up with the character of Kiki. I think the themes in this one are quite common for his stories about young girls or young women, which are coming of age. So being strong, self-reliant. Kiki very much goes on a sort of a journey here of finding herself, finding her inner strength, resilience, that kind of thing. But also dealing with the negative side, the sort of the isolation of being in a new place and seeking acceptance from those around you, and taking those difficult obstacles or difficult things around you and finding a way to deal with them. Very much the core of these stories is dealing with adversity and coming out the other side successful. We can see that in a lot of other Ghibli stories. So we have, Princess Mononoke and Chihiro in Spirited Away, where a young girl takes control of her life. Obviously, in something like Princess Mononoke, it's very much based on strength and there's a lot of anger behind it, whereas Chihiro and Kiki are very much good-centered people. They're nice people at their heart. They're not based on anger. It's very much based on love and friendship, but just dealing with the situation of life. And they're quite inspiring stories. I think Miyazaki wanted to create a story that would resonate with girls of that age and allow them to see a story that maybe they can relate to and have something to have support. That, I think, was his main message, a message of support for girls of this age. If they have anything difficult in their life, just like these characters do, there's always a way past it. So we're set in the 1950s, or around the 1950s, and Miyazaki wanted to set it in a sort of fictional 1950s where World War II had never happened. So we don't have that destruction and struggle. The war never happened, and we see Kiki as a young witch in her hometown, and as is customary for witches when they reach the age of 13, they have to leave. They have to leave town, leave home, and go to a new place and be there for a year to study or to develop or to grow up. Kiki cannot wait to get away. And obviously her parents don't want her to go because they love her and they'll miss her, but they know that's what happens. And so off she goes. And she finds this new town. She flies on her broomstick across the world and finds this town called Koriko. Now, Koriko is a town that is very, very meticulously designed by Miyazaki. And it's based on a lot of other towns that he knew. Principally, the town is based on Sweden. Miyazaki had been to Sweden previously, but this time, for this film, he didn't go anywhere himself. He sent his staff writers and staff researchers around the world to see these places and see what inspiration they could get. And the main town that it was based on is Visby. I apologise if I'm pronouncing any of these towns wrong. Also a bit on Stockholm, but mainly it was Visby, as well as an amalgamation of other towns. So we had a bit of Paris, some Ireland, some San Francisco, some Milan, and a few other places. It looks a bit like Prague too, I don't know if that was in there. But it's this beautiful kind of mixture of chocolate boxy little village and quite new shopping towns. He described it as a town where one side is on the Mediterranean and the other side is on the Baltic. So it's this lovely little engineered town in the 50s. And again, one of those things that Miyazaki brings his real life into these things. Same for Laputa. I didn't mention it in the video, but I did write it in the notes. If anyone ever bothers to read descriptions, I do put notes at the bottom sometimes. And for Laputa, Miyazaki based it on a Welsh mining village because he had been there during the miners' strike and thought it was a beautiful place, and so he based it on that. And so the same here, places he's been, places he's loved, and the geography, the locations of Ghibli films are just so fantastic. They give you such a great sense of what's there and what's around the characters, and that's absolutely the case for Kiki. So Kiki turns up at this town, and it's not all that it's cracked up to be. It's not that friendly, it's very bustling and busy. Witches have to turn up and be the only witch there, so she checks that no one else is here, but then no one seems to care that much. It's not like she has a, great welcome, like the Beatles turning up at the airport. No one seems to care. And so she's thinking, do I stay? At the same time, she's travelling with her fantastic little companion Gigi, her black cat. We know that black cats are classic familiars of witches, and hers is Gigi, who can talk to her verbally. And so Gigi says, well, shall we move on somewhere else? And she says, no, we'll find somewhere. And eventually she accidentally finds a place in a local bakery. And from that she finds room and board and starts a delivery service because she thinks, well, my only skill is flying. That's all I can do at the moment. So why don't I use that skill and deliver things for people around the town? Interestingly enough, the bakery she's staying at is called Guchoki Panya, which is a weird pun in Japanese because Guchokipa is a name for rock, paper, scissors. It's normally called janken, you know, 1, 2, 3, or whatever. But each part of it, gu, choki, pan, is rock, paper, scissors, and so it can be gutokipa, it can be called. And panya is a bakery. Pan is bread, ya is another name for shop, so panya. So gutokipanya is this weird pun of both. I don't know why. I can't see any relevance of rock, paper, scissors in the film or in the bakery, but if somebody can point out, please tell me in the comments, because that's what it is. So she's staying with Osono, this baker, and her husband while she's pregnant, and delivering things around town. There's a young boy called Tombo in the town who's very enamoured with her, but she stays away from him for a long time because she's quite embarrassed and doesn't want to talk to boys in that way, and develops a friendship with him over time. And the local girls are a bit standoffish, so she's finding it a bit difficult socially. And at some point, she loses her magical power. Now this, interestingly enough, is quite a big shift in the story, and it wasn't there in the novel. Now, Kodono, who wrote the novel, actually was not that pleased with the film because of this fact. The story itself and the planned sequels were not these big dramatic tales. They were very, very simple stories of Kiki delivering stuff, and you know, something happens on the way, or just nice simple stories about her delivery service and that. But Miyazaki, obviously, because this was a film and had to have a dramatic arc, decided to put this in, the loss of her powers. And so, although he wasn't pleased, Miyazaki felt it was a necessary thing to do. And she also meets Ursula, this girl who lives in the middle of the woods in this cabin, who does art. And she goes back to her. And Ursula tells her that you'll find your way. Again, it's all about, you know, finding your way through this adversity. And again, I won't say what happens at the end, but something does come up that needs her to find this strength or spirit in herself. And, well, as with Ghibli films, you could imagine that all works out. This is the Blu-ray. As you can see, this one comes on Steelbook as well. And I'm such a sucker for these Steelbooks. They are beautiful. As you can see, nice metal case with nice picture of Kiki and Gigi on the front, and Kiki on the back. And then inside, a picture of Kiki and Tombo on the bike. Do I recommend this one? 100% yes. Absolutely. It's, again, if you're looking for a kind of crazy epic tale with lots of this and magic, no, it's not that. It's a very, very simple story, but it's just so beautifully done that I couldn't recommend it more. Absolutely one of my favourites. Kiki's Delivery Service. Put it in your collection and watch it now. So that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a big thumbs up if you like this video, and leave me a comment. Have you seen Kiki? Are you going to watch Kiki? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know and we can discuss. Share this video any way you want and subscribe to my channel to see more. I'm on all the usual social media platforms. Twitter and Instagram are both Mark Joseph Actor, so go and follow me over there. Next week we're going to cover Only Yesterday. It's a slightly overlooked one, but I am looking forward to it. Click here to see last week's episode of Grave of the Fireflies, and click here to see some more of my face in my comedy series about movies called Retrospectives. So I will see you right back here next week for Only Yesterday. But from me, Mark on Life and GhibliTime, I will speak to you soon.